Let's look at applications of offset. So let's say here I have some sales figures. Okay, what I want here is the latest sales figure, right? The latest sales um, figure, right? So which means right now it should show 678, correct? But then I'll keep adding numbers here and it will always show the last number that has been added. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. Of course, I don't know what is right now. It's 678. I don't know how many numbers can be added, so I cannot really tell Excel the cell to look for. So I'll have to make it dynamic. So I will have to use the offset function. Okay, so here I write offset and I refer, my reference is B2. Okay, and then I have to tell Excel how many rows do you go down, and this is going to be dynamic. I don't know how many rows you have to go down beforehand. It has to be calculated on the run, which means I'll have to use the count function. The count function in column B. So B, in column B I find out how many numbers do you have. Depending on the number of numbers you have in the column, I'm asking offset to go down that many rows. And then columns, of course, I'm not moving either to my right or to my left, so no movement at all. So I'm staying in column B itself. And height and width, you can always say 1 1, or I can omit because the reference cell height width is 1. Now as I press enter, I get 678, right? And now if I type maybe a number like 378 as the next one, so you see immediately this number will change and will pick up the latest number. So I can keep adding and I'll always get the last number in this cell, and that I can do using the offset function. Of course, you have to ensure that the column B is only used for sales figures and nothing else. Plus, you cannot put a blank between numbers, so it has to be you have to avoid any blank cells in this column. In that case, it won't work. Otherwise, you can use offset function to always pick up the last number that you have entered. Okay, now let's look at another application of the offset function, where we can use the offset function to draw dynamic charts, right? So here I have month, month numbers and units sold of a product, let's say, and I can obviously draw a chart here. I can draw a chart, but then what I want here is, as I keep adding month 17, month 18 or 19 and so on and so forth, the chart that I have drawn also starts changing. Okay, so it will always increase the range and include the latest data that you add to this range. Now that's basically drawing a dynamic chart. So how do I do that? I can do that using the offset function. The first thing that I'll do is I'll first create two names or two variables using the name manager. Okay, so let me delete the existing ones. There are, and then I will create a fresh. Okay, so new, right? And I will use the name, let's say month, and in refers to, okay, I will use the offset function. Okay, so I'll write equals to offset, equals to offset, correct? Let's start from A1, right? And then I have to tell Excel how many rows do you want to go down. So my data starts from the next row, so I'll ask Excel to go down one row. Okay, don't move either to the left or to the right, so it's 0, right? And then I have to specify the height of this range. Now the height will include all the numbers in this range, which means I'll have to use a count. So count whatever you have in this range, and then I'll write $A to $A, right? So the height will be the same as the number of numbers in this in column A. And what is the width? The width is 1. So I write this formula and say okay, right? So here you can see the formula once again. Offset A1, move down one row, don't move either to the left or the right. Count the height of the range is you find it by counting the number of numbers in this range, and then width is 1. And then I create another one, right? And here I name it, let's say, as units. Okay, and here also I'll have to write a similar formula. Offset, okay, offset B1, correct. I move down one row, no movement either to the left or the right, and then a count of $B, correct. So count whatever you have in this column, and then width is 1, and say okay, right? Say okay. So you have these two kind of variables created here, two names created here, and they have been created using the offset function, so they are dynamic. Depending on whatever you add, it will change. So I now close it, and then I will draw a chart of this. So I go to insert, I go to scatter plot, I click on this, and I get the scatter plot. So let me reduce the size of this and quickly remove this. Don't need these things. I will also delete these grid lines, and here we have. Now what we'll do is we'll click on this line, okay, and you can see this function series which is used to draw charts. Now here, instead of A2 to A17, we'll just delete this and write MONTH, month, and instead of B2 to B17, we will write units and press enter. Okay, and now as you start adding numbers, you can see that the graph will start changing. So 18, correct, let's say 45 changes, 19, okay, and you maybe reduce it, let's say to 21, it reduces, and so on and so forth. So that is the way you can draw a dynamic chart using the offset function. So it's really a very useful function that we have.